Hey, what's up? I'm still SomaZ, and if you're watching this video, then you're probably interested in the latest balance changes in the new HoN patch, and you should be. That's right, because balance is amazing. So, this Friday was supposed to have been, yeah, my English failing already, but that just means the video is going right in the right direction as usual. So, the community collaboration balance patch, and this is the first time in a while that I'm actually not too happy with the balance changes and the patch in general. So, but there were a lot of good changes, so if you want to hear what I think about the changes, here we go. So, start off with item balance. Careers can no longer carry bound die at any point. I actually abused this, kind of. I sometimes use the career to get the bound die after I died, because sometimes in the heat of battle, when you get killed and you drop the bound die, nobody notices. So as soon as I die and drop the bound die, which happens a lot, because I like to buy bound dies, because I'm not 1400. If there's an invisible enemy hero on the enemy team, I fail. But if there's an invisible hero on the enemy team, I get revelation always, and the bound die is probably the best revelation item, and there's literally very little risk involved in carrying this item. So I basically died and used the career to get the bound die back. Sometimes I just kept the career near me in case I die. Some other times I just went all the way from the base with the career and still got the bound die because nobody pays attention. So yeah, this is a nerf to that, pretty much. That's the only thing that it was made for, so there's more risk involved in bound die. One of my suggestions for bound die was increasing the time to 8 minutes on the shop. I introduced a shop cooldown, so you can only buy bound die once every 8 minutes, but this is also a change to nerf the bound die, because the bound die really is a bit too strong. So next we have dropping a bound die now clears ownership. In other words, if you dropped the bound die before and someone else picked it up, like literally dropped it on the ground, it would not work for him. So you could do it before dying and save your bound die, pretty much. So it's more of a bug fix, no longer works like that. Next is a Hellflower change, duration nerf. Pff, of course it was nerfed. Hellflower is like one of the best, I literally, don't forget what I said, like Hellflower is good in pretty much every hero. Almost every hero can have a Hellflower, and it's amazing. It's so good. It's still really good, even with this nerf. So, but now I'm a little bit concerned that it's compared with Coldress Sheepstick a lot. Sheepstick is perhaps has been nerfed a bit too much, but yeah, I mean, even in the competitive level, you see Hellflower much more often than a Sheepstick. So this is a nerf kind like Doc Kaiser explained it, because it's against casters. 5-second silence on casters is like a 5-second disable for them because they rely on their skills, but Hellflower is just a bit too strong. Just an amazing item, so it was nerfed. And last we have Pickled Brain, cost increased. I actually agree with this. This will make people think a bit more when they spend their mana instead of just getting a ring and spamming everything, so that will be harder. There is more thought put into that, and Ring of Sorcery was a ridiculous item picked up in almost every game. So I agree with that change, but the bad side of this is that Icon of the Goddess cost has increased, which this affects only one item. Sacrificial Stone. So now Sacrificial Stone, which is like arguably the worst item in the game, costs 100 extra gold, which makes it even that much worse. So they said it's in the works. They're still playing a remake of that item. I just hope they take my remake. Of course, that would be amazing, but probably not going to happen. In any case, the remake is still in the works, as they say, and I don't see it. Like, it's not here. Like, these are all the items. That's it. So now Sacrificial Stone changes. Sadly, no other item changes. Spell Shard is still sucky. Staff of the Master, no new effects, no changes. Yeah, a bit disappointing there for a balance patch. So next we have Hero Balance, and this is where something happens. Agility gain increased by 0.05 for Andromeda, and similar changes were made to multiple heroes, like a lot. So at first I called these changes Icefrog style changes. If you don't know, Icefrog is the developer for Dota 1. So he's kind of the lead developer for Dota 2 as well, in a sense. But in any way, Icefrog likes this kind of balance where he changes stuff by like 0.1s and stuff. It doesn't change much. So what does this do? How much is 0.05? Well, it means that at level 21, so from level 1 to 20, it's going to be exactly the same pretty much. And at level 21, you'll get 1 extra point of agility. And it will stay 1 extra point till level 25. So it's basically an extra point of agility for super late game. And you honestly, when does Andromeda get level 20 plus? Usually games end way before that, especially with Andromeda. So this is definitely a pointless change. I thought at the start, like literally, what the hell is up with these changes? Like Icefrog changes by 0.05. That's nothing. And then credit goes to the user, the Peter, for actually noticing this. Good man. The reason for these changes is to remove complexity from the game and make it more simple. Basically, they're changing any in the game. So like for all heroes, any stat gains that are point something 5, so 2.35, they're changing it to just be a number after the decimal or after the point. So now it's just something point something, not something point something something. So instead of 2.35 is just now 2.4. It's like just more simple. They make everything more simple. So then you look at the intelligence gain, same thing happened here. Yes, it's more than before, but this isn't a buff. This is not a buff. This is just kind of a fix to make it more simple and make stat gains more understandable. So yeah, we move on to Blacksmith, which the same for agility gain decrease. Like Blacksmith will lose 1 agility at level 21. How much will that impact him? Not a lot, I would say. So fireball damage increased on early levels, which I kind of agree with, because Blacksmith is kind of a lacking hero unless he gains like a ton of multicast. So Flaming Hammer now has an AoE despite not leveling up your ultimate, which is Chaotic Flames. So now basically it always has an AoE, even if small, and Chaotic Flames, your ultimate just increases it. Before it would just hit one target and ultimate would give it an AoE. This is kind of a buff to your Flaming Hammer without the ultimate, but not a strong one. It's just kind of a fix kind of thing, so can't really comment much on that. The Fireball change was good, yes. And last but not least, we have a Frenzy change. So now when it multicasts, instead of giving the attack speed buff to nearby creeps, it will prioritize heroes. Which means if there are heroes nearby, it will first give them the movement speed buff and then give creeps the movement speed buff. Which should have been fixed quite a while ago, to be honest. It's quite annoying when you get a multicast and buff like a couple of creeps instead of yourself or something. So yeah, really good change there. Really like it. And Blacksmith overall, yeah, I think he needed a small buff. So I kind of agree there. Blacksmith was kind of lacking hero. The problem though is that he relies too much on random, but that's what the hero is. Next we have Blitz. Really, they finally realized that Blitz is freaking trash. So, well, okay, he's not as trash as another hero that I mentioned a lot, but still pretty bad. So cooldown reduced. So now it's not a ridiculously long for no reason. Like, why would the cooldown be 150 seconds and some freaking lame nuke on level 1? That's ridiculous. So now the cooldown is less. Will this help the hero enough? Well, Kaiser, I read the thread where he replied to questions. And one of the questions was like, why is Blitz's so bad? Why is his range so small? And Kaiser replied, well, it's not Blitz's design to have a long range. And I thought, well, what is Blitz's design? To suck or something? Is that what he's doing right now? So this is going to be enough of a change. I hope so. Now you can be not as afraid of using your ultimate. So you can spam it a bit more. Hopefully that will help. I'm not sure. Blitz is a fun hero. Not a fast one for sure though. He's pretty slow, but we'll see if this changes anything. So next we have Bramble. First change. Turns out his damage on his Q was a bit more than it showed. So this is kind of a fixed, I guess, but can't really comment on it. The other two are also fixes, so this is more of a fix. I guess Bramble is a bit weaker now, but this is how he was supposed to be from the beginning, so I don't see that. Next we have Chronos. Agility gain per level decreased. It's just 1 point at level 20, so for a carry like Chronos, this may have an impact. In other words, it was a nerf on Chronos, really? But it's it's not 0.5, it's 0.05, so yeah. And then Curse of the Ages damage increased by 5. Or no, wait, no, it's completely rescaled and increased by 10 on the last level. In any case, it's slightly increased, and damage changed from physical to magic damage, which is for late game, surprisingly. Late game, when people have a ton of armor, this will be dealing more damage than before. Is this enough of a change for Chronos, though? I'm not sure. Since it's magic damage now, it will not go through Shrunken Head, so that could be an issue, because late game a lot of people have a Shrunken Head. So, not sure how much this changes for Chronos. He was an okay-ish hero, but I don't think this buff will be enough. So, Cthulhu, of course, he was nerfed. He's still ridiculous. Why did he have such good damage? Like, base damage lowered from 56 to 60 by 4 total? Why was his base damage so high to begin with? But okay, and intelligence lowered, so he has less mana. Like, this is an actual change. This is an actual change. This nerfs his intelligence on every single level by 2. So he will always have 2 less intelligence, which is like 26 less mana, which is like an amount. You sometimes are like 5 mana short, right? So now you could be 26 mana short or something. You get what I mean. So this is an actual balance change. This is not like 0.05 or something Icefrog change. So Cthulhu, yeah, the problem with him is how tanky he is without items. So this definitely nerf was needed, and he's picked competitively almost every game or something. That's ridiculous. Next we have Defiler Unholy Expulsion, which is her ultimate movement speed of spirits increased finally. God damn it. You know how before you would chase an enemy hero and your spirits just would not catch up and would not deal any damage, and you were just hoping, God damn it, why are these spirits so slow? Well, now it's fixed. Now the spirits are actually fast, and unless he has a haste rune or something, he'll get damaged. So this is a huge buff, I think. It's huge. This will make Defiler viable again, I think, potentially. So we'll see how that works out. Play more Defiler, guys. Tell me how she works now. Next we have Demented Shaman. A nerf to strength gain? Just kidding. It wasn't changed pretty much. Nerf to his Unbreakable, though. I don't really think he needed this much of a nerf. Really, like, it was a community contributed patch. Someone in the community really hates Demented Shaman. Yeah, he's pretty annoying to play against, but cooldown increased from 15 to 45 seconds in level 1. Usually you just grab 1 level of Unbreakable, right? So now you have to actually level it up for it to be kind of useful. Yeah, this could be a bit too much of a nerf, but I do agree that Demented Shaman needed a nerf. Gauntlet strength unchanged pretty much. Glacier, his ultimate mana cost has been increased, which his ultimate is kind of strong, but I don't know. Well, Glacier is a really good support hero, one of the best. Like, he's up there on par with Witchslayer, probably. Like, the 2 best support heroes, I would say. Although I'll think more about that question later, since it has been asked in the Q&A. But yeah, I suppose I can understand how his ultimate mana cost needed to be increased, because it is ridiculous. But yeah, you see Glacier pretty often, and he's a really solid hero, so don't see why not. Fade, agility pretty much unchanged, you can say. You can say it was earned, but unchanged. Anyway, we move on to Hellbringer, which death boil damage reverted to how it was back in the days when he dealt a ton of damage and everyone thought he was overpowered and ridiculous. So we'll see if he's overpowered and ridiculous now. Damage increased, as you can see, by 5 per tick, but it ends up being 25 damage on level 1 and 40 damage on level 4. So this makes him deal 150 damage on level 1, which is huge. It's really big, and Hellbringer's really high intelligence gain, and intelligence in general just allows you to spam your skill. I think you can use it like 3 times without items on level 1. So that's 450 damage you can deal without items. So Hellbringer will be a viable pick again, I would say. So you've seen me play Hellbringer in kind of a carry role with a codex, which was kind of weird. Someone suggested Restoration Stone. The item, although very useful, is very bad because it costs a ton of mana. And the build-up is super hard as well. But in any case, that's all builds. Right now we're discussing balance. I think Hellbringer needed this I think if played as a support, which how I think he should be played, because he's kind of a support, especially his ultimate, just to help out your team, and he doesn't really need to rely on items, although he can. So he's kind of like Martyr, but in any case, there are better supports out there. So this is why Hellbringer was having problems, because pretty much almost any other support is better. Next I have Jeremiah, strength and agility gains unchanged. Protective charm cooldown increased finally. Jeremiah really needed a nerf. I really think he's freaking overpowered, broken, but I think he's broken because of his ultimate, at least before, so any nerf helps. Any nerf helps. Ultimate changes, well, it's pretty much unchanged. Except that I think you might be able to drink potions now even while getting hit. So that could be a buff. But Protective Charm, yeah, he needed this nerf, because he's ridiculous. Kinesis Intelligence gain. Now this is actually a change. This is actually a change that impacts him. Intelligence gain decreased by 0.3, and I don't get it. This is one of the changes I do not agree with. I did not see Kinesis as that strong of a hero. Like, yeah, he's decent, but he's not that good. Like, I don't get it. Why was this changed? Like, someone in the community was raping with Kinesis? Please show me that person. Show me some competitive games with Kinesis. Show me some rape games with Kinesis. Maybe I'll reconsider, but really this is a change that really was unrequired. Like, why nerf his intelligence gain? Why? So I really don't get it. Now he has less damage, less mana. Why? Why do it? Kinesis is not that strong of a hero. Can you please explain me in the comments below why Kinesis got nerfed? So his first skill now, Static Smash, can now be triggered early. And there's a note that damage and stun time are proportional to how long the affected unit has been in the air. In other words, if you wanted to deal as much damage as it was before, you'll have to wait for the full duration. So this gives you a bit more control, which I suppose is a buff. So you can use it in a smart way now. But this doesn't change too much. It's kind of a buff, but at the same time, meh. And last we have Telekinetic Control, which is your second skill, slow, reduced from 25% to like 10, 15, 20, 25. So on early levels, the slow will be less. And WE, I would say, since it's 2 skills in 1 slot. Again, why this change? Was the slow really that much of a problem with this hero? I don't know. Like, yes, when he came out, everyone thought, wow, he deals so much damage, this hero is so broken, but not really, he wasn't broken. Especially the recent change to Mock of Brilliance, how it no longer charges up his shield. So just straight up nerfs and Kinesis. Where is this Kinesis hate coming from? Why nerf this hero? This is one change I don't agree with at all. So Kraken, release the Kraken stun from being pulled to the center is no longer superior magic. This means when Kraken ulties, you can use Shrunken Head and avoid the stun and continue channeling or whatever. So if you have a Shrunken Head, Kraken's ultimate will not prevent channeling, which is a nerf to Kraken. Did he need it though? Well, he's seen in the competitive scene a lot, not so much in pubs though, unfortunately, but he's a decent hero, and well, perhaps having a superior magic stun on his ultimate was a bit too much. I'm not sure about this change. But I suppose if he's played a lot in the competitive games, he could use a small nerf. Madman unchanged. Magma Steam Bath radius reduced. Yes, Magmus is an incredibly strong hero. I think S2 is just afraid of touching Dota heroes because everyone will just cry like little babies in their diapers and stuff. But yeah, Dota heroes are really strong. And this is one of the heroes that was strong, and I'm glad his Steam Bath got nerfed because it was a bit too strong. Well, not the Steam Bath, but just the hero in general, so any kind of nerf helps. Moon Queen pretty much unchanged. Ophelia's Judgment is now a purgeable buff. So this means if Ophelia uses her second skill on an ally to teleport him back to base after like 6 seconds or whatever it takes, you can now purge that off and prevent him from teleporting, which is kind of a nerf on Ophelia, but really, when are you gonna use this? I cannot think of a situation like, oh my god, Ophelia is on the enemy team. Let's get a no fire blade. Pronto. We have to get it. Like, really, like, you get no fire blade or like electrician to counter Jeremiah sometimes, but to counter Ophelia's Judgment, will anyone do that? Really? It's kind of a waste, but Okay, I suppose. Also, if it's not purgeable, it could be stealable by Parasite as well. I'm not sure. Someone needs to confirm this, but if Parasite steals this buff, will he get teleported back to his own base? Or to the enemy base? That could be fun, but yeah, interesting change there, to say the least. Next we have Pebbles base attack time increased, which is a straight up nerf. So attack speed no longer slowed. So basically he will now have around the same attack speed as before, but if you get attack speed items like a demonic breastplate or something, your attack speed will be slower. Base attack time is what limits your hero's speed. If it's too high, you're never going to carry, no matter how many attack speed items you get. One of the best base attack times is for Magebane, and I think he's like the only hero who has a really good base attack time, and that's the reason why Magebane carries so hard, because he can attack so fast with just a bit of attack speed items. So this means a no to any kind of Pebbles carry build. Just straight up no. You cannot do it anymore. It's not viable, and I guess this leaves room for people to explore Pebbles, kind of, but this is also one of the changes I don't agree with. Really? Nerfing Pebbles carry? Was Pebbles carry that much of a problem? Or have I not noticed? You need like crazy amounts of farm to be on par or even close to enemy carries, but really I didn't see Pebbles as that much of a problem in the carry aspect. Like, carry Pebbles is one of those very few things that actually matter. Yeah, I don't get this change. This is a change I don't agree with as well. Next we have Plague Rider. Strength and intelligence pretty much unchanged. Also, I noticed Plague Rider's intelligence gain is freaking crazy. 3.3, one of the best support heroes in the game, and just heroes in general. Anyway, his contagion slow decreased, so contagion is his first skill, so the slow from that is now lower in level on earlier levels, which is a straight up nerf to Plague Rider, which is good. Yes, good. Nerf that freaking overpowered piece of mock. Yeah, that hero is just way too good and way too easy, so now there's more risk involved. Predator intelligence gain unchanged. Yeah, that doesn't change anything. Rhapsody starting intelligence increased, which means Rhapsody now has more intelligence, more mana to use her skills. Base attack damage lowered, so your damage is unchanged, but you have more mana to spam. So how will that work out? We'll see. But it's definitely a buff. Did Rhapsody need one? I think she did. She's kind of underused now, so yeah, I like that. Next we have Scout now. This is a controversial change that a lot of people didn't like. So the way it works now is like Rampage's third skill passive, but more kind of like Kraken's passive. So for every attack you do, the cooldown of it decreases. Whenever it's off cooldown, it's guaranteed to work. So if it's off cooldown, you will always proc disarm. And then it continues going on the cooldown like 8, 7, 6 seconds. And if you attack during that time, every attack will further decrease this cooldown by 1 second. So if you're constantly attacking, you will be disarming faster than once every 8 seconds, so to speak. But what does this do? Well, first of all, it removes the random element of disarm, which was kind of annoying. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now it will always work. And also disarm duration now increased from 1 to 2 seconds, which is more effective against enemy carries. And I have tested this myself with enough attack speed items, one of which would be Elder Parasite, but okay, trolls aside, it is possible to permanently disable a target if you just keep attacking it and using your skills. So, well, not permanent disabling, but permanent disarming. So, if you're one-on-one against an enemy carry, Scout is actually a really viable option now, just to disarm him and prevent him from dealing, well, pretty much any damage. So that is pretty cool. This is, I'm not sure if this is a buff or a nerf. It's kind of making Scout rely less on random and more on strategy, which I think is a good change. So I don't think Scout is any worse of a hero now, if not just better. And his ultimate marksman shot now gives vision of the target, pretty self-explanatory. When you start channeling it, you will see the target, which is straight up buff, and tells you what the target is doing, and just useful for your teammates, useful against juking, just a good change. So next I have Shadowblade Essence Shift cap of 40 stats removed. So what does this mean? Your ultimate remember it steals 20, 30, 40% of the target's primary attribute. Now, this might sound like a lot of math, but this is how I think of it, like the easy way. Imagine that the target has 100 stats, like 100 strength as its primary attribute, right? So what your ultimate will do is steal 20, 30, or 40 of the target's strength, right? So that's how I think of it, easy way. What do those percents mean, so to speak? So cap of 40 removed. So basically before, if the target had 100 of some stat, if it was its primary stat, you could use your level 3 ultimate, and that is pretty much as you would possibly get. That's it, that's the cap. So now this cap is removed, so if you see a hero above 100 of a stat as his primary attribute, you can just steal it and be a bit stronger. So this is a buff to Shadowblade's late game, which I think he needed. Shadowblade really lacks damage late game, and this will help him, hopefully, if the enemy team has some crazy motherfucker. Slither unchanged. Succubus movement speed increased, so it's easier to chase with Succubus. I agree that Succubus is kind of an underpowered hero. I don't know, she just needs some help. I'm not sure why. Her skills are kind of good. Her tech range is decent, so not sure where the problem with this hero comes from. Hopefully movement speed will help her. And heart-take damage increased as well on early levels. On later levels it remains pretty much the same, but this makes Succubus a bit stronger early game, especially with the movement speed buff. So we'll see how that works out. Succubus is an interesting hero. I think the problem is when she runs out of mana, she's useless. It's kind of the problem with the hero, but quite a few heroes have that problem. So we'll see how this works out, but I agree that Succubus needed a buff. Swiftblade unchanged. Tempest. So yeah, people were crying about Tempest, competitors were crying about Tempest, so he got nerfed. So his elementals attack damage decreased. On early levels it's the same, on later levels it's decreased pretty much. So early jungling with Tempest is the same as before. Later jungling and tower pushing is going to be less effective now. And his ultimate received a straight up nerf. Reveal radius reduced from 900 to 4. So what does this mean? When you use your ultimate as Tempest, it would reveal the area around it and reveal invisible units as well. So the ultimate was like 500 radius, but it would actually reveal invisible units in 900 radius. So just like a bonus to the skill that it didn't really deserve, I think. So that was removed to actually be the ultimate's range, which the range also lowered to 400, I suppose. And clear vision radius reduced, which clear vision is also like vision that it gave around, which is no longer there, just like a bonus that it didn't really make much sense. Like, why would it do that? Just removed. But Tempest, I think, is still a really strong hero, and I still like him. So, but these nerfs were deserved, I think. Next we have Valkyrie, stats pretty much unchanged, so let's ignore that. Javelin of Light stun is now worse on lower levels, so there's now actually more sense to level it up to get that 5-second stun benefit. Which means for me this will kind of remain unchanged, because I level up my Javelin of Light DW first anyway. Because I just like this pair and it deals a lot of damage, 360 on level 4. It's worse for farming, yes. And perhaps it's not the best build, but now there's more incentive to do my build and screw your build. And last but not least, we have Warbeast, who is also pretty much unchanged. So those are my thoughts about balance changes. I liked most of them, except for 2. The Pebbles nerf, I really don't know where that came from. Like, someone really hates Pebbles. Kinesis nerf was also not sure where that came from. So other than that, pretty standard, but I'm kind of disappointed because it's supposed to be some kind of huge balance patch, but it's not really that big. The stat changes are, yeah, they're definitely fixes. They're not like actual buffs to the heroes, because Icefrog changes don't change anything. Like 0.1 armor doesn't change anything, really. So yeah, that's it. Also, I'm back in Latvia, which means I'll be hopefully releasing more than one video a day sometimes, or at least once a day from now on, so look forward to that tomorrow, and see ya.